Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the first Octagon episode 2, where I will be discussing UFC Fight Night taking place in Tampa, Florida on December 14th, 2024. Colby Chaos Covington versus Jaquan Buckley. Colby has the home field advantage being in Florida. This is a very exciting matchup, people. But let's not forget that Colby is a menace and Jaquan Buckley is on the cusp of title contention. So without further ado, let's get going.
The one, the only.
So, this fight, this card, intrigues me. I love the card. I think having Michael Johnson as your featured prelim is great. Sean Woodson's on the card. We have Miranda Top Gun Maverick fighting on the card. It's a well put together card, and the UFC did good for making this matchup in the main event. I think it's a phenomenal matchup. You know, originally Jaquan Buckley was supposed to be fighting Ian Gary. That fell through because Shavkat needed an opponent. They gave it to Ian Gary. But for me, I like this matchup between Covington versus Buckley a lot more. A lot more. And we will get to that. But let's start with the very first fight on the main card, Adrian Yanez versus Marcos. So Adrian Yanez is 17-5 in the UFC, while Marcos has a 16-0 MMA record. 3 of those wins are in the UFC, so he is very new inside of the Octagon. He's not new to the world of mixed martial arts or any combat sports, so let's not take that away from Marcos at all. But he's only had 3 fights in that Octagon on this high of a stage. Adrian Yanez has been in the cage with Rob Font and Jonathan Martinez, which are very dangerous contenders. I mean, Rob Font's right up there in the bantamweight division. I mean, has been in title talk a couple times. He came out on a short notice fight against Diego Lopez and took it to a decision. I think it was a wonderful fight. Coming off the couch and putting on a performance like that, Rob Font is great. Adrian Yanez has been in the cage with that guy. Has been in the cage with a killer in the bantamweight division. For me, I'm going to have to take Adrian Yanez on this fight. One of the reasons being he's from Texas. I've always got to support the Texas boys. You know, Lone Star State. He knocked out Tony Kelly because Tony Kelly decided he wanted to talk some crap on the state of Texas. And those Texas boys, he wasn't bad. I think with Adrian Yanez being a little bit more seasoned inside of the Octagon, he will cruise this win. I'm not going to say that there will be a finish. I kind of see this fight going to decision. Kind of being a little slow paced in round 1, kind of picking it up round 2. And then just kind of going back and forth round 3. I don't really see this fight being fireworks. But never count Yanez out, because I think that dude's got power in his hands. He can put anybody to sleep. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Just keep an eye on that power that Adrian Yanez possesses. So let's move on. Kind of talk about the co-main event. I'm going to just jump straight into it. We got Cub Swanson versus Billy Q. Cub Swanson, a veteran of the sport, an anchor in the sport of mixed martial arts, in the UFC. Very, very great. He's gave us wonderful fights. Billy Q is a young, dangerous up-and-comer that I 100% believe will get Cub Swanson out of there. I'm not counting this veteran out. I hate counting veterans out just because I feel bad for doing it. I've been watching these guys, and it's one of those things that being older in the sport, it's almost like Brett Favre still playing football. When he knew way before he should have hung up the gloves, the cleats, should have hung them up. He stuck around for too long, and we all saw how that worked at the end of his career. Billy Q is coming off of a massive decision win over Damon Jackson, where he outstruck the guy 62% to 40. And Damon Jackson is not a slouch. Not a slouch at all. Damon Jackson comes out there and puts on performances in this weight class and makes it look good. But that's aside the fact. Cub Swanson just got Fight of the Year, or inducted into the left wing in the UFC Hall of Fame. And he will always be a people's warrior. I just believe with young, dangerous up-and-comers, they always have the advantage due to the simple fact they're younger, in their prime, they're faster, their cardio, everything. They're just the prodigy. Like Cars 3, Speed Jackson coming in and smoking Lightning McQueen, smoking the hero. You don't want to see it, but it's something we all have to watch. It's the heartache of the sport. It's something that's hard to sit through, but it's something we can deal with. Once again, I would like to thank everybody for being here. I hope that you guys can take my insight and my opinions, you can take them in stride, and we can have discussions about these kind of things. I would love to do that with my channel. I would love to talk to you guys. I would love to talk about UFC history. I would love to dive into MMA with anybody. So feel free to comment on any of these videos that I will be posting in the future, and we can have a discussion, feature you in some videos, and go on from there. But I would love to have you on the show if you're an amateur fighter trying to come up or anything like that, but we'll kind of keep it related to UFC, you know. So I hope you guys can understand that. Thank you for the support. So here we are at the main event of the evening. Colby Covington, America's... I'm going to laugh because Colby puts on such a good persona for the people of America. I've enjoyed watching him fight. His cardio is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Against Jaquan Buckley. KO of the year in 2020. We all saw that ninja kick. He channeled that inner chakra and slept that boy. Just like in my intro video, y'all see it, that boy went stiff as a bull. Colby Covington has been in a lot of title fights recently. He wants to claim he's the best. And if you ask me, I'll say his cardio is phenomenal. That's damn near Cain Velasquez cardio right there. The dude can go 25 hard minutes and never break a sweat. But with Colby Covington, there's always an excuse when he loses. He lost to Leon Edwards because the first minute and a half he broke his foot. I don't know, man. I don't know about all that. Maybe be better next time. This matchup is very intriguing because we just had Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Gary. The winner of that gets Bilal Muhammad. Obviously, Shavkat will be facing Bilal Muhammad next. But this fight determines who will fight Ian Gary. Not if they win, but if they lose. As we know, originally, Buckley was supposed to be fighting Ian Gary. Obviously, gets the Shavkat fight. Colby steps in because he's a company man. I don't know if you guys watched the media day, but he's a company man. He calls the shots, but he was forced this fight. But he didn't mean to say that. This fight, to me, is a title contention eliminator. This fight will probably be fireworks. I'm not even going to say probably. I'm going to say will be. Because Colby knows how much he needs this win. And Jaquan is hungry. He's on a win streak. The confidence is high. There's a 6-year age gap in between these two. Colby Covington being the elder by 6 years. The last time Colby Covington had beat somebody younger than him was in 2016. It was Brian Barberina. 2016. We're talking almost a decade ago. Colby Covington beat somebody younger than him. And then after that, fast forward to 2020, he beats Tyrone Woodley, former champion. Tyrone Woodley at that point was at the end of his career in the UFC. He did what he had to do in the UFC. And ever since then, Colby has not won a fight. He's had the fights with Usman. He's had the fights with Usman. He had that fight in between with Masvidal. I'm sorry, my correction. Has won the fight. He beat Masvidal. And then gets Leon Edwards. He was an interim champ, yeah, but for me, an interim champ's not champ until you're unified. Unless we're talking about Tom Aspinall, but that's a different deal. Colby thinks he is the hottest and the most talented in the welterweight division. And I just don't see it anymore. I used to root for Colby all the time. Just because I kind of liked him being a heel in the sport of the UFC. The way he acts at press conferences, a lot of people, it's arrogant, it's cocky. But it's kind of something I like to see. I mean, Conor McGregor type stuff. It's just tunes into being that heel and just is the bad guy. And he's good at doing it. He's good at putting that persona. His cardio is probably still very fierce, and Jaquan's going to have to look out for that, but I don't think Jaquan really needs to worry. I think he's the bigger guy than Colby Covington. I think he's more well-rounded against Colby. Colby has a very mediocre striking, while Jaquan's going out there and he's throwing. He's looking to end the fight because he wants that title. He wants that title fight. Give it to the man. He's young, and he's looking for that. The reason these guys get in the sport is to be the best, is to be a world champion. And I think Jaquan Buckley is trying to do that, 100%. So, I think, for me, Colby Covington loses this Saturday on his home field. What does that mean for Colby? He said he just signed a 5-6 fight contract. They're going to give him Ian Gary next. And I believe Ian Gary's going to smoke him. Just because he's a young, hungry contender, just like Jaquan Buckley. And the trash that Ian Gary's been talking on Colby Covington, I believe Ian Gary wants to fight him just to put Colby Covington out. Just to finish him. And I don't blame him. Because he's the bad guy. He's the heel. He's the villain of the UFC, of the welterweight division. No 170-pound guy is talking trash like that. Unless you're Colby Chaos Covington. I mean, he called out Leon Edwards for his, his dad being dead. And we all saw how that worked out for him. I mean, Leon smoked him. I wouldn't give Colby a round in that fight. Jaquan walks away with this. And I see Jaquan being moved next in line. We'll see how the Bilal versus Shavkat plays out. And he'll get that winner. And I even see him being the backup fighter in that event. Now, if Bilal pulls out, I don't believe Shavkat will get Jaquan. I think Shavkat needs to sit on the sidelines, wait for that title fight. Maybe Jaquan just sits on a couch doing some training, waits, and just waits. Now, Shavkat pulls out, Jaquan is going to be in that seat. He's going to be in that seat. And the more interviews I see of Jaquan Buckley, the more I'm liking the guy. He's charismatic. He's a happy-go-lucky. He reminds me of Khalil Roundtree. And, the world wanted Khalil Roundtree to beat Alex Pereira, and Alex Pereira is the best. He's just one of the best fighter of the year. But his stock went up after that fight. And I think it's the same thing with Jaquan. His stock is going to continue rising. On Saturday night, he goes out there and finishes Colby Covington within the distance. Without a doubt. Because he wants to make this guy quiet. And Colby's acting like he doesn't know this guy. He's never seen his tapes. You trained with the guy, Colby. You trained with him. You sparred with him. You wrestled with him. But, what are you talking about, buddy? You're geeking. You're geeking. That's all I can say. UFC Fight Night, Tampa, Florida, to close out the year. So sad because it will be 4 weeks without any UFC fights. Such a sad time. But hey, we'll get through this, and during those weeks, I will provide you with a special guest appearance, as well as UFC history. I'd love to dive into some of the anchors of the sport, and even taking it back to 1993 with the Furtado brothers. I would love to do that. Thanks everybody for tuning in to this video. It means so much to me to talk about this sport and to be able to do this channel for the people. I want to continue doing this. Show me support, and I will give you more content. I will make it better. Let me know your opinions, and I will do to the best of my capabilities to improve everything. Thank you guys for tuning in to the second episode of The First Octagon with your host, Noah Lee. And I will see you guys on Sunday after these fights, and we will talk about these outcomes, and we'll run through the whole card, and we will have a good time doing it. Thank you, everybody. Much love. God bless.
The one, the only.